Chill.
Welcome back, Leduc. Yes, it is. That was a Seth Worley original. If you want to listen to more music, go to Hank Davidson Esquire on Instagram. But enough about that. We are back from Germany. Hashi, how are you, my man?
I am doing very well. I got sick right upon getting home and had like 3 days where I just needed to sleep. And then now I'm back.
You're back. Terrific.
I'm back.
Can everyone hear Hashi out there? For some reason, I am suddenly worried
that's a
that
good question.
He's not coming through to you guys.
Can you hear me, humans?
Oh, wait. I figured out what's going on. Okay, who cares?
It all makes sense. It's all coming together.
So yeah. Oh, well, crap. Why don't I figure out what the hell's going on here while...
Hey, everyone. If you can hear me.
Yeah, can you...
Tyler Adams says all good.
Okay, cool. Introduce our pal. Our pal, Michael.
Michael. Say his name 3
He's
times
here.
and you'll appear. Hey, Michael. How's it going?
Hello.
Welcome back to these United States. Or those United States is what I need to say.
To those,
Yes, being as you were on an island in the ocean.
Amazing. How are you doing, man?
Good. Getting ready to move. So, life is very hectic at the moment. We've got boxes and packing stuff everywhere. Taking a big old house worth of stuff and putting it all into a storage unit and moving into our RV for the next few months, possibly longer, depending on how much we enjoy traveling around these United States.
Amazing. Excellent. If you have any moving tips for Michael, please throw them in the chat. Any kind of moving tips.
Or the comments if you're watching this later.
Absolutely. Well, so as you mentioned, Seth, we just got back from Germany. What were we doing in Germany?
Oh, man. We were having a blast. We did, if you haven't heard, which you definitely have because it's all we've been talking about, we did our live show, VFX Live from Germany.
We did.
I don't have that drop.
Goodness, and some of you here in the chat were there.
Some of us in the chat were there. I believe our good friend Justin Leduc was there. And a lot of you showed up.
Way to go.
Which was like 4 a.m.
That felt so cool.
Yeah. So
and by the way, if you missed the VFX and Chill live from Germany, the link is in the chat and the description of this video.
Excellent. It's a fun one. It's one I'm asking my parents to watch. So
it's probably the most fun and funny show we've done, I think.
Oh man,
it was ridiculous. Like there were because it was live in how did you describe this in the thumbnail? This was like live overseas in another country on hotel Wi-Fi, running from a laptop.
From a single
so
laptop,
many things that could have gone wrong.
It was there were so many things that could have gone wrong, and they all went wrong during the tech check.
Yeah.
We had a tech check the day before. I said I remember, as if this is like years ago.
This is like Wednesday.
We had a tech check the day before, and there was so much planning that went into this episode. Like, I don't want to say that too much, because if they then go watch the episode, they're going to expect maybe more quality than what they're going to find. But it's not true, because you're going to find so much quality.
All the quality.
We put so much planning into it, and we get to the tech check, and nothing worked, and which I took as good luck. Like, if it goes wrong in the tech check, I just turned away for a second, came back, and Michael was gone. Did I do something? Did I say his name 3 times again?
Uh-oh.
That's okay.
It's possible that a service person has arrived.
He's dealing with house stuff. I can't remember. Does he have a contract on his house yet?
So many things.
Does he have a contract on his house yet? If not, we can put his address out in the chat and have people bid on his house. That seems appropriate. Anyway, tech check went wrong. We took it as good luck because it's good luck, because then everything will go right the next day. Then we went up to my hotel room and we did a creative run-through, which I made that sound as dirty as I could by accident. We did like a table read of just the creative side of the show, and we were laughing nonstop, and it went so well. Michael, I'm talking about the creative table read that we did right after the terrible tech check and how it confused us all because now it's like, well, how is tomorrow going to go? Because we had a friggin' great table read and then a terrible tech check. And
so another name for this episode it could be how to prepare for how to maybe over prepare so everything will go right on a live stream show. So we're going to get very technical today. We got all sorts of fun stuff.
We're getting a little too technical today, actually. We never get to dive in. So we've talked about a lot about doing an OBS, like talking how we do our OBS setups. And I think we've done 1 or 2 episodes where we kind of showed how it worked, but it's hard when you're actually using OBS actively to live stream something to also show it to people live and how you're doing it. So we pre-recorded some stuff, up to an hour of content. Depends on how much time we'll get to. But if you have ever wanted to do a live stream like the one we do, if you ever wanted to know how we do certain gimmicks and stuff that we do on the show a lot live, this is the episode for you. We've got a ton of it. Hashi, you pre-rendered a bunch of stuff a bunch of gags that showed up in the show. Some of it got integrated into live action footage. We're going to talk through that. And Michael, you did a stunt that my whole family thought was real. And so when Elliot texted me asking if you were okay, he wasn't kidding. He was like, is he alive? Is he okay?
Yeah, if he for those who didn't see the show, we cut from the stage to a digital element back to live on stage, and it cut together way better than we thought it would.
Cut together
nuts.
surprisingly well.
Hashi, do you have any clips on your end? I am only set up to share your screen. Do you happen to have, I should have had these ready, and I don't.
I can share my screen and just share stuff via that. Let me get my screen sharing over here.
Justin, okay.
To
answer Justin's question, if we get to the audio portion, you're going to learn that, unfortunately. Anyway,
excellent.
Go ahead, Ash.
I am just trying to look up some of the crazy research we tried to do ahead of time to figure out how to.
Yes.
Obviously, I don't know. Do we have? Can we play? Let's see.
What do you want to play?
I want to play the rope gags. Either.
Yeah. So I have clips on my. I tell you what. I have clips on my phone. Let me airdrop them to myself, and then I'll make them playable. Will you vamp for a second while I get all these?
Excellent. So basically, since we wanted to do these gags that looked like they were rendered inside this room, we didn't have access to this room. And it was not only that, it was in another country somewhere else. And luckily, it happens to be the same spot that we've held our Maxon Summit at before. And so that was fortunate in that we had some references that we could pull from previous years for what the room would look like, what equipment might look like, what the stage we would be on looked like. But we were trying to do a very low-tech version of, I started stalking it online and finding out if, there were things like graduation ceremonies and other things held in this building. And so I was able to try to rebuild what I could of the theater through some very bizarre processes.
Do you have that on screen yet?
I think I'm sharing my screen now, so I could probably show this. So one surprisingly helpful little bit was that last year, when they were doing the Maxon Summit, the amazing photographer, at least Michael Munch's team.
Who, speaking of which, Michael Munch is in the chat today.
Michael!
Oh man. Michael and his team,
welcome.
We could not have pulled off our show without Michael and his team. Michael and Leon, unbelievable work. They're the reason you could see us, and at times the reason you could hear us, and great guy. Highly recommend for anything in Germany. If you go to Germany, just look him up. Look at Michael Munch. Hashi, you talk now.
So of all random things that we happen to have going into all this was Michael took this amazing photo with, it's obviously, 360 camera up on a thing, but this happens to be the room that we were going to be in. And I was excited about that because I thought maybe we could reverse engineer something out of this.
Maybe just
Wait, what
maybe.
was that?
I said maybe, just maybe. I've got to get this thing fixed. It used to, yeah.
We now can't. If I talk, Seth
if he's talking, they can't hear
silent
me, which is better for
me.
them. But I fixed this years ago, and then I've broken it again. I'll get it fixed again, and I'll be able to talk over you. Sure enough, the good news is the people can hear me. Good.
Exactly. So now I'm going to see if I can remember how I did this. But basically, I was able to take this image. I did a little bit of generative fill because it was larger than the screen. So about this much of it was real, and I just quickly had generative fill generate the top and bottom of that. And then it turns out that if you have something shot like this, I'm going to drag this into another comp over here, and I'm going to apply an effect that I think is under, let's see, what is it? It might be up here that you have to say a new VR comp. Someone might know.
While you're finding that menu thing, I want to say thank you to Aaron Stern, who says that the show was epic, hilarious, and inspirational. And they're excited to see the behind the scenes.
Excellent. VR Converter.
You're seeing it right now.
Check it out. Okay, so I applied this effect in After Effects called VR Converter, and I wanted it to be an equirectangular image. So I'm getting something similar. So I can tell it that this is actually a fisheye full dome input, and then I think goodness, I feel like the default was actually closer. There's a way to slightly unwrap this, which was kind of cool. And with the unwrapping, I was able to produce this lovely image. Let's see, where did I save that?
Did I tell you I had told Stu this on the, after the show, we were talking about Redshift, and I was like, well, the thing at the end of the show is one of Baby's first Redshift renders over here, and pointed to you. And I said, you know how he actually created the HDRI that lit the scene? And I was like, in the video last year, there was somebody who walked around with like a 360, and he goes, shut up. He was like, and he said some words that I think we're PG-13 on the show. We don't go that far in. He said some words that don't get said on the show very often, and it was like, of course he did. Of course he effing did. It was the best Stu reaction you could get.
Thompson X is asking if that's it's an effect that comes with After Effects. Yes, that is an effect that strips natively with After Effects.
VR Converter. So I converted a full dome to an equirectangular.
Oh, ships
map.
natively. I heard strips natively, hence the consensual Star Wars. Sorry, forgive me.
Excellent. And luckily, this the image size was much smaller than this. So I ran it through some AI upscaling, and luckily everyone in this room is pretty anonymized by this process, except for who is very likely EJ or something on this on the screen, is my guess from this amount of data. That's not EJ. Oh, well, that's what I was hoping.
Thank you, Michael, for the Ron Howard voiceover.
Everyone's anonymized.
It was not.
It wasn't EJ.
So what I loved about that was that allowed us to feed that into a little, as an HDRI, into this setup that we had. And I had never used Redshift before, really. I don't actually have anything open right now regarding it. Actually, I have something dumb open that I'll share for a second.
When do you not, man?
We're always doing something fun over here, right?
Okay, you got to show Mooch's comment, Michael. The last two. It says, so cool that you used this shot. I didn't even know you were using this. And the second one was, I love that you reverse engineered it instead of asking us to send the 360 file again.
That's
there was a file.
You see, being afraid to ask people questions can lead to so many fun
he's
adventures
gonna
for
regret.
yourself.
He's gonna regret making himself available to us. You have no idea. He has no idea.
I know. Goodness. Okay. I don't know why I didn't have this pulled up already. I'm gonna go in.
I'm very curious what sort of competition you've got going on right now.
Well, what he's doing is he's got two 3D renders, and he's pitting them against each other in a lustful kind of daydream of sorts. Am I getting challengers right? Is that working? I don't know if I'm.
I think
that's
exactly right.
Oh
okay,
no!
I mean, it looked like some sort of challengers-esque thing.
That's
behind
cool
the
graphics.
scenes,
Close on my
challengers,
Redshift
like
projects.
some of the VFX shots they got look pretty intense.
Yeah, he's trying to recreate that. But let's talk about that next week. So
we'll talk about that next week.
I think we just committed to next week being the challengers episode.
Dive into cinema and set up a very ridiculous simulated setup for one of the gags that we did. I don't know if, again, I feel weird describing it without playing us through
I got
what
it.
I'm talking about here.
No, I can. What I can do is, hang on. I will.
I do have a render in the renders folder.
No, I've got it. I've got it ready to go. Let me actually set this up to where you keep talking, and I'm going to put Premiere. I'm going to put this clip right in the bottom corner of. I'm going to have it playing in the bottom corner of what you're doing.
Excellent.
So you just keep talking.
Okay.
I'll bring it up in a second.
Perfect. So we started with our digital stunt doubles, which of all random and stupid things that we had to try to work out ahead of time was we would need to know what we were going to be dressed like on that day, which is hard to predict with weather and everything like that. But I think what we roughly ended up with was this file here, which is the three of us in our best guess of what we would be wearing that day, stunt figures. So you've seen our digi-doubles on multiple episodes.
Thank you.
I found that this was roughly to scale, except that I do feel like you are both a foot taller than what I guessed our proportions were. Like, I think I come up to like
Oh man,
here on Seth.
I mean, Michael's sick of hearing me say this, but I don't see Michael in person enough. This whole trip, I was just angry at him for being so tall. Like, I was experiencing something I never experienced, which is like, oh, a tall person. And it always freaks me out how tall he is. And he's like as tall as I am. It's not weird. We're normal to each other. But it was weird to me.
Yeah.
Andrew Smith learned that Stu was also taller than expected. Oh, Seth.
Everyone, I don't know what happened.
Seth,
Yeah.
the quotes are being hidden by the, by the video.
Hold on.
We could this video we could just play. I think. I don't think there's sound. But I don't have anything meaningful to show on my screen in real time. Oh, it's this one. Okay.
So I'll go over I'll go over
6'4".
how I did this. But you know what? We should probably come back to this segment. We should talk first about our opening from the episode, which was a gag that we've wanted to do since day one. I'm going to play it back real quick, just a clip of it. Or we can talk over it. Jeez Louise, hang on. This is a behind the scenes episode, everybody. You're going to see how
It's because we produced everything in 8K.
I don't know why that's so huge. So,
Excellent. Oh, do we get to watch this gag? That would be fun.
yeah, so we can talk over it. It's not playing with audio. And so,
Nice.
Since day one, we wanted to do a gag. Like, if we ever got to do a show in person, we would be in the boundary boxes as usual, and then start reaching across and handing each other things. And this was actually a lot trickier than you'd think. In fact, now that you've seen kind of a hint of what it looks like, why don't we go to the pre-tape real quick and talk about
Perfect.
it? Sound good to you? What the heck is going on here?
I love it.
Yeah, so
This is cinema. This is
cinema. Let's go to the clip. All right, so this is a gag that we've been dreaming of doing since day one of making the show. We always agreed that if we were ever able to shoot a show in person together, we would open it like we normally do, where it would simulate that we were in separate locations, nothing was different. But then, like midway through, the intro, we would just start like reaching across out of each other's boundary boxes into this middle space and handing each other things. And so here's how we did it. Kind of break down, first off, just to give you a sense of like what's actually going on here. I'm going to start by getting rid of the green screen. So now you can see already a little bit of what's going on here. I'm being cropped right here. Let me just break it down by the layers. So I've got our logo scene. I like to keep a lot of graphics and stuff in their own scenes so that they can have their own stuff going on in there, and I can swap them out easily. So this is, our coffee scene that we used for the opening of the show, but within it I have a logo scene, I have background scenes, because those are elements that exist across multiple scenes, and I like to be able to swap them out easily in one place. I'll go over that in a little bit. But so at my logo scene, I have our names. And then I've got these two groups, it's foreground and background. It's called all, but foreground, all, and background. So I've got my background scenes here. All contains these two background boundary boxes and what was my iPhone feed. We had an iPhone kind of hanging from framed something on the hotel wall, and I have cropped it to keep the outside edges of the boundary boxes visible, and it gives us a little bit of space up top as well to, if we overshoot it a little bit, come out the top, and then it allows for this middle area too. So that means I need this foreground group, which has two boxes. Let me turn off this so you can see this. It has these two boundary boxes to go in the foreground, but cropped to where they're just the bottom half. And then this background layer that, if I turn off my background, you can see it's just this little cropped portion of the background that I've put in the foreground that enables us to be able to so if I turn all this back on, you can see it allows us our shoulders to stay cropped down here. And so the idea is we look like we're contained in our boxes in the bottom half, as long as we don't dip our head, or anything like that at first. Wow. At the front. But if we reach up from the top and reach across, that allows us to look like we are behind our boxes, but somehow reaching out of them and going in front up here. And again, there's a green screen up, so that allows it all to play accurately. So then at a certain point, we hug, and the idea was that when we decided to do that, we would turn our bodies to where we're no longer cropping here, and I would just turn off this foreground layer. If you watch it, you can see me do it. Like you can see my focusing on doing it. That would turn off, and then allows us to reach across and hug here in the middle space. We pre-recorded this portion because there were just too many things that could go wrong live on the day, not to mention setting up a green screen on stage and everything. We know it would have been fun for the audience to watch us do that, but we tried to save ourselves there's already enough things going on at once, enough things that could go wrong, that we pre-taped it a couple days before, I think maybe 2 days before, in my hotel room. You can see images here of like what that setup looked like. It was a lot of fun.
What in the hell was that all about?
The coffee bit, everybody.
The coffee bit. So yeah, that's how we did that opening part. Oh man. We don't have a clip of anybody in costumes, but we had a really great intro from Chad and Ellie. They were emceeing the whole summit that week, and they came out and introduced us the way God intended, by dressing up as velociraptors and saying literally nothing. It was the most silence I heard at that entire summit, and it was so funny.
It was phenomenal.
Oh, yeah, because they were silent, but the audience was uproarious.
Yeah. It was great.
It was amazing. Yes, I feel like that must be captured somewhere.
For sure.
If we're able to find it, and if it doesn't contain any state secrets, then
that was the other thing we had. We had India, and we had strict like rules. We could not show faces in the audience because of release forms that weren't signed, and people are their privacy.
Germany privacy laws are good.
You're good. They're great,
especially for specifically streaming them live to the internet is is the biggest open window you could have on this policy. So
yes, and so there was a gag I thought of literally an hour before the show and didn't have time to integrate it, but to have an audience like a picture of clearly like. Even with the Getty Images watermark still on it of like the Oscars like audience or something, like let's see how the audience is doing, and we just cut to it. We also I'm just remembering we had a gag where we were going to have a character in the audience that we always cut to that in real life had agreed to be on it, but would be like we talked about being Darren Frequenz or something, like signing, like we never asked him, but like signing the release form in the first shot we cut to him, and then we just cut to the same audience member over and over to do embarrassing things to
every reaction.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, so many. This episode was an hour long, which is half the time for us. So we had a lot less vamping to do and a lot tighter of a schedule for what feels like more events than usually happen during.
Right, because we usually have one special guest instead of 3/4.
Yeah.
So I feel like this forced Seth to think of it as an entire like news program worth of, or I don't know, sport game event.
Nailed it.
Crazy setup. But we had live camera feeds going to your laptop. I don't know. It was a very complicated setup.
Well, I mean, are you setting me up for the second video?
About that? Yeah,
are you setting me up for the second video? Why not?
I'm setting us up for the second video.
Let's do it. Here we go. I've wanted to show the behind the scenes of our OBS setups for years, but it's hard to do on a live show when you're using OBS to do the live show. This is my layout usually for the show. I've got my preview window up here that's going to show the show. I've got a chat window from Restream right here. We use Restream to go live to the Red Giant YouTube channel, as well as like almost all the other Maxon channels simultaneously. But then it lives on the Red Giant channel. Then I've got, these kind of get resized whenever I resize the window, but I've got controls down here. Start streaming is right next to start recording, and it's very dangerous when you're pre-recording things or whatever. I've got scene transitions window here. I don't touch this a lot. I have stuff automated to be able to control this, but I like to have this just to monitor it and make sure that I see what the scene transitions are set to. And I'm going to come back to that in a second. Audio mixer goes here. This starts to populate with more mix. Like you see way more of these levels or channels pop up whenever there's an audio source live. And so that starts to fill up real fast and you end up needing a lot of the space. Sources. This right here is what you see, like whenever I'm on a specific scene, the sources will pop up. So like if I go to pre-show here, you'll see now like all these, you see, this new audio source popped up on the mixer, and then here in the sources, it's got all the active and inactive sources, things that I have going on in that scene. Then we have the scenes over here, and these scenes, there's a lot of them. This is actually less than there usually are on a normal show. Here's my system. If it has a little red ticket stub emoji, that means that's for show. That's a front-facing scene. So that has, pre-show, intro. It has our cameras and stuff. I'm going to get to that in a second. But then down here, anything without a ticket stub, that is kind of a utility scene. Those are almost, think of them like pre-comps in After Effects. So I've got a background one that has multiple different kinds of backgrounds in here, and then I've got a second background one that has different backgrounds. I like to think I said it before, I like to kind of pre-comp the things like this. Like backgrounds, I like to pre-comp the logo. And then there are even pre-comps within that, like logo top and logo bottom, that put the logo in specific places. And I do this because a lot of these are elements that are across multiple different scenes. And if I want to swap out this logo mid-show, which happens a lot, I need to be able to do it in one place rather than across a bunch of scenes. So I will make this kind of pre-comp utility scene, and then all the scenes will contain it. All the scenes that need it will contain that scene in there. So if I changed it within this little, pre-comped scene, it'll change everywhere. I do this with the drops as well. All of our drops are in the drops utility scene. And so they're all in here. As you can see, I can just, let's find a good one. Got World War Z brush. Bene. And all of these just get triggered by being turned on and off. I rarely go into this scene. I control these with my Stream Deck, which I'll show you in a second. But so almost all scenes have the logo utility scene contained in them, and the drops utility scene contained in them. There was one other one on this show that was GFX, and that was for timers and stuff, and I don't remember why I did them as their own separate utility scene. I'm a weirdo. All right, so let's walk through these scenes. I've got a black screen that's there. You need it for the beginning of every show. Fade into our pre-show. Our pre-show always has our looping sticker and quote and attribution, and it has pre-show music. In this case, it was the VFX and Chill track that I made. I believe all the music, with the exception of the Sparks track and our normal intro music, all the music besides those two are dumb beats that I've made, so they're all original tracks for the show. Then I've got the intro scene. The intro contains the intro video, and what's nice is it does not contain any of our mic audio coming in. So any of these, the pre-show and the black screen and the intro, they have audio coming from the audio source, but they're not our mics or our Skype feed from a normal show. So Hashina, Michael, and I can talk to each other during this stuff while this is running, and you won't hear it live, but we can hear it, and we can hear the show as well. So here's our pre-taped intro. This is all one big video. The intro, the coffee gag, and then it goes into our live from Germany intro with beautiful stock footage of people that look exactly like us. So then we have our cameras feed. Now this, I'm just running one of the cameras that were that were filming us on the day. They were rolling the whole time. So I'm just got the main feed from the back of house camera. I've got this piped into my cameras utility scene, which is right here. This camera's utility scene has, right now it's a video test, but what it was a cam link. It was a single HDMI feed coming in from Michael Munch was running a switcher between two cameras in the back, and he had one HDMI feed that came up to me, went into a cam link. Cam Link 4K made by Elgato, which is incredibly awesome for getting HDMI in to your computer. Just one camera feed that he would switch between two cameras, and it would send straight to one feed that would be live right here in this source here. Now, also contained in this camera subscene is the FaceTime camera, hello, and the Germany outro that starts with and automatically turns the FaceTime on whenever I turn it on. It has this overlay at first that then quickly replaces a whole feed with this render from Hashi. So that lives in here. And then the Michael drop lives in here as well. And Michael drop is a shot that this is a late edition. Originally, I'll turn this on. Originally, Michael was supposed to just walk out on stage with all the rope slack and say, there's too much rope, I can't lower from the ceiling. But then late in the game, we were like, he could also fall. And so I in the first part of the week, I filmed this during one of the actual corporate presentations. Just filmed, like, I don't have the plate on hand, but it just looks like, it was nothing, and I just tilted down to nothing, and then we added the render of Michael that Hashi will show in a second. Comped that in and then made that this own little source that would pop on, and then cheated by putting it on the screen lazily. It's not a good comp or track, but put it on the screen there. So these things live in this camera feed. I have this running, by the way, just so something's running in here, but I could also just turn on my FaceTime camera. But let's do this. So having them in this subscene allowed me to go to the screen. Let me go to the screens. Now they're contained in this screens scene. If I were to trigger Michael falling, it stays in the camera feed. This is just, we didn't do this on the show, but it was just a precaution in case I was on the wrong scene or something. It would all blend seamlessly and feel like it was actually happening, from the actual camera feed. So then when we cut to this, it felt seamless. So that was all in the camera utility scene. So the camera scene is very simple. You'll notice these logos are automatically switching. When I go to the screens, it automatically switches. The little bottom logo goes down and the top logo comes down. So how is that happening? This is one of my favorite things. I've been using this for the past couple seasons on VFX and Chill, and it's a little tool plugin for OBS called Advanced Scene Switcher, and you can find it here. It's free. It's available at OBS's resources. Advanced Scene Switcher allows you to create these macros that if one thing happens, then another thing happens. Simple as that, right? So I've got one for, let's see, my top logo. If scene item visibility, if the shape down timer is hidden and the stew timer is hidden and the World War Z graphics are hidden and the current scene is cameras, the current scene is not any of these. I set all of these, conditions. Then logo bottom will hide and logo top will show. And each of those are contained here in the logo utility scene. And they each have a show transition set to swipe and a hide transition set to swipe, so that when they turn off, they'll go. It comes right back because my macro's on. When they go away, they'll swipe up, or when they come back in, they'll swipe down, or vice versa for the bottom logo, right? So, when I'm on cameras, it switches to this bottom, little sticker. If I go to screens, it switches back to these. And these kind of automations are all over my OBS setup. So I've got them for, they switch. You'll notice that when I'm on the screens, they show Hashi's name, my name, and then the guest's name. I didn't want to have to change this. I didn't want to have to remember to change this manually during the live feed. So when I go to, let's say, so it's on Paul right now. If I go to Ava's guest intro, where we then have the camera feed, and we can see Ava coming up on stage, and her little lower third, her name tag comes up. If I go now to the screens, it now says Ava, because I've got a macro that says when if the current scene is Ava's name tag scene, it will hide Paul's name and Stu's name and show Ava's name, and it will stay there until I go to any of the other name tags. Like if I go to Stu's. Now if I go back to screens, it's Stu's name up here. Little automations like this make my life a lot easier on the show. And this is what allows when I trigger the Germany outro, it automatically turns on the FaceTime camera. And the idea behind that was that it created this great thing where it was this closer feed of the three of us. And Hashi and Michael, when we rehearsed it, they didn't know that was coming. And so naturally, they saw it and leaned in and looked at it, and it created an even better image. It was great. So, advanced scene switcher. Friggin' rules. Saves my life. It's incredible. Now, continue going through scenes. I showed you I got these name tags here that come up. And you'll notice when I switch between scenes, it's not just doing like a simple fade or a cut transition. These sources are animating from transformation properties to new transformation properties, right? The camera is full screen, and then it goes whoop to that screen. That is not something that inherently happens in OBS. That is thanks to a plugin that I love called Move. So Move Transition, and it's essentially is doing what Apple Keynote, what the Magic Move transition in Apple Keynote does, where it basically looks at the first scene and then the second scene, figures out what sources they have in common, and then animates between those two transformation settings. So if I go to screens, you'll see it automatically animates them to their new positions. I love this. And you can create custom. So you can create, let's see if I can, property. So if you can adjust these parameters all you like appearing items, this is how they'll behave. Disappearing items, this is how they'll behave, etc. I use this on the show. I've used this for the as long as I've been using Advanced Scene Switcher, maybe a little longer. I freaking love this plugin. So Move and Advanced Scene Switcher both have changed my life in OBS. All right, so I've got this set up to these scenes where individually I can hone in on and focus, because the problem is when you're trying to fit 3 screens on at the same time, you'll lose a lot of detail. People complain about us doing the split screens on the show and not being able to see the details. Imagine putting 3 on screen. It's tricky. So this was the solution, was to have 3 on screen like this and then be able to isolate individually each one whenever I needed. And you'll see, because of that move transition, watch the names. The names move, the screens move. It's all great. Then I had these individual scenes for what we called our commercial breaks, which showed 2 of our old favorites, Mission and Hospital, and you'll see the logo animated appropriately. And then it's got West Side Story. Now, West Side Story, and then our new Goldfish trailer that we premiered on the show. Watch this scene transitions here. This is another great macro that I've got going. This is because I wanted to go to a commercial break. You can set transition overrides on scenes, but those are only incoming transition overrides. So I have them set to fade because I wanted it to feel like a commercial break, or like we were, like we're going to some SNL like digital short bumper. And so I didn't want it to do the standard move transition that it was, where things are animating, hyper animating and stuff. So I have the transition override to fade. So we fade to those. But look, my scene transitions, my master scene transitions changed to fade. That is because I wanted to be able to fade back to the show, because you want to fade back in and be like, welcome back if you're just now joining us. Like, that's the vibe you wanted, right? And it didn't look right with the move transition, with the auto animating transforms. So I have a macro, and by the way, I don't want to set my transition override to this scene to be fade, because I want to be able to go to scenes and back to camera with the move transition. So I set a macro to where whenever I went to either the Mission and Hospital or the West Side Story or the Goldfish scene, it would wait like a second or two, and then it would change the master scene transition to fade. And so now whatever I switched back to, it would fade back to. And then right after that, it would automatically switch back to the master move transition, which hopefully that made sense. It helped me tremendously on the show. Now, we also had our Tom Cruise scenes. These are what we do is we have these made. Usually we'll find footage of. We've done this a lot with Tom Holland. We find footage of Hashi will find these like interviews where the actors are being interviewed over Zoom, and then he'll make these little kind of loops or these funny like long stretches where they're usually listening to someone else talk, but you get these really funny emotions. Like here, Tom starts to look a little annoyed, right? And in our second one, he starts off annoyed, like he's already annoyed at the top of it. So that's our show. That's our OBS setup.
I see the way you set these up and realize why how valuable you are to the show.
Finally! No, thank you. I appreciate it very much.
No, this is why any episode without Seth on it falls apart and you can't hear humans.
You can hear more
or the humans
Hashi.
can't hear each other, which is equally as fun.
That haunts me every time I'm like on vacation. I'm going to tune in and see how the boys are doing on Chill. And it's that same issue. And I'm like,
and it's just us screaming.
I need to go to his house. It's Michael being patient as hell, waiting 30 seconds to hear what you say and then respond appropriately. And I'm like, I want to fly to Canada and fix this for Hashi. It's a problem to solve, and I got to figure it out. But no, our OBS setups are. We take pride in how needlessly complex they are. Complex they are.
I mean, one of people's favorite drops on the show that they do, like the drops are, I think, one of the favorite things besides our expert knowledge and training.
That went out the door 2 seasons ago, the expert knowledge, and got replaced by the drops. 100%.
Well, I mean, they're fun. Like being able to see all the really cool technical stuff about transition scenes and stuff is great, but it's the drops that people really love. And one of my favorite moments from the show was the CC ball action gag.
Let's say the word ball and gag in the same sentence on the show. Hang on, here we go. Do you want to watch it with audio for those who haven't seen this part before? All right.
Yes. You all know him if you've watched the show before. Welcome to the stage, descending from the ceiling.
Wrong clip, but it's worth
Michael
watching.
Zalewski.
It's worth it.
Oh God. Oh God, Michael.
Arlie has watched this clip over and over.
Are you okay, buddy?
My wife Arlie is like obsessed with how cool you are as you get up, just how unfazed you are, and how you're more just concerned with, okay, let's figure out what went wrong and how to fix it. Because it's the most Michael response to falling out of the sky you could ever get. The clip at the end, guys, when we're flying all over the place. So you can hear us kind of yelling and screaming. There's audio somewhere in Dropbox of like me going "Ah!" like that, and then Hashi recorded his, and then Michael turns his in, and it's like ah.
Oh no!
And we're like, can you maybe like louder?
Something has
like,
gone awry.
And Michael, your response was like, I don't think I've ever screamed in my life. That's Michael Zalewski. The man has ridden in helicopters.
Like, yeah, I've never screamed for dear life.
Yeah,
in a stunt accident before.
All right. Anyway, let's talk about these drops.
It was close, but since we're just watching Stu, I'm actually sorry, I should be on mic. I love actually seeing. I've never seen you do the show, and this looks like a very complicated setup. I love it.
It's not really like here.
But like,
who's our favorite actor of all time?
Well, Chris Pine.
We love Chris Pine. I wish he were mine. He's always on my mind, Chris Pine.
So yeah. Obviously, our show relies heavily on the drops, but I've never seen the way you set this up before, so this is really cool. So you just like...
actually,
what do you do?
It's really actually kind of complicated. Can you not mess with it?
Converting. Vollständig.
Oh my God.
Oh, what the? Hashi.
What? They're all in German now.
CC ball action.
I'm sorry. No.
I'm so glad we have a Stu laugh, like foreground Stu Mashwood's laugh.
I think I can fix this. Hang on.
Okay.
Hang on. Let me see.
Konvertieren.
Complete.
Wait. Why was it a guy? Why did that... It went too far.
Too far.
Oh.
Okay. All right.
That you selected American, not English.
All right. It'll settle back in. It
was close, but
So
I'm actually sorry. I should be on mic.
Is it playing again? Shouldn't be.
I think
All
it's
right.
looping.
So
That was tremendous.
that was a big hit on the show. Of course, we do want to apologize to Stu, who we brought on stage to teach us all of his wisdom, and then proceeded to just press buttons and ignore him for half of his 10-minute time challenge. But he was such a good sport about it. That was your idea, Hash, the Stream Deck joke. The idea of you taking the Stream Deck, hitting buttons, and accidentally turning the drops German. I think there was an explosion.
I think we were like, could we have it like somehow set fire or set off some kind of pyrotechnic charge by me messing with them instead of you? But fire
we actually went a long way figuring out how to do that on stage, like how to simulate it, how to like maybe have the lights go out. Which Stream Deck button is Damn It Michael? Oh, this one.
Humans and,
that's the one. I guess I did prepare another video about the Stream Deck buttons. That's what the segue is supposed to be. I just feel like I've listened to my own voice a whole lot this episode. So everyone, enjoy a little more of my voice. Let's talk about Stream Deck buttons. This is for the Germany show, but it's what I do week to week is very similar. But I made this one custom for the Germany show, down to like the fonts. So I'm a real stickler, as you know, for fonts. Hashi likes to make fun of me for it. A stickler for design, not just fonts and typefaces, but especially on a Stream Deck, like when I'm working or especially during a live show, I'm going to look down at a grid of buttons. I like to have more than just like work. I have crazy ADHD, and I don't want to rely on reading the words in order to like quickly register what it is. Like it helps me, their geographical things, like their geographical layout, and their color. I know that's an accessibility thing, but for me, unfortunately, it helps me. And fonts and typefaces, that stuff, and imagery, of course, that stuff helps very quickly communicate to me what the button does, what it is, and also the condition of our show throughout an episode, like. Because I'm often working from one screen, either on the show I'm working from my studio display. In Germany, I was working from my laptop display, which is even smaller, and so OBS is often hidden behind After Effects or Cinema or whatever, and I will rely on my Stream Deck to be able to look down at it and be able to see, we're on the camera feed right now, or we're on the screens, or we're on Hashi, specifically Hashi's screen. Like I can look down and see where we are, what's going on in the show. I can see it based on, the Stream Deck. So that's why you see all these colors and fonts. So I've got my main scenes up here, my black screen. I've got the pre-show, and then I've got the intro. All pretty self-explanatory, and then the cameras, and then the screens, and then underneath screens here in the same color and font and kind of connected, I can go to Hashi's screen, I can go to my screen, or I can go to the guests. Down here, I've got these folders. I'm going to go to that in a second, but then I've got down here, it'll tend to be other scenes or important drops that, in this case, the Germany show, we had very not common for us. We had a pretty strict like script or outline for the show, kind of a set list, if you will. And so I tried to put stuff in order, or at least like in vague order of where, like I knew the Michael drop was going to happen, pretty early in the show. So I had that there. Then I've got the Tom scenes. And all of these, of course, when they're on, when they're visible, they have a yellow background, or sometimes they'll have blue or pink, depending on what the element is. But yellow usually means this is live, it's on. And then down here, of course, I've got the camera's in the way. I've got the Michigan Hospital scene, the West Side Story, but with raptors, and the goldfish scene. Then another folder that I'll get to in a second. Down here, I've also got the OBS button. So like if I am in QuickTime, I'll click the OBS button. It will automatically bring OBS to the foreground. Again, I'm working from one screen usually, so it helps me to be able to hit that button and pull OBS up immediately and see where we are. The After Effects button, I'll press that, and that'll take me to my After Effects Stream Deck scene, which I don't have time to go through today. I'll go, and it's in need of an overhaul. I want to redo all these buttons. Stu Mashwood's actually made a very cool thing that if you follow him, if you go to ProLost or follow his, subscribe to his emails, he sends out these cool things he's working on, and he's got a really killer tool for building Stream Deck buttons really easily. But I'm crazy and like to do my meticulous process of doing this. Anyway, that's the After Effects scene. And I can hit the VFX and Chill, come right back to this one. So down here at the bottom of almost every OBS-related scene, I like to have at least this, enable studio mode button. But sometimes, but I also will like to have this little tool button that I click that, it automatically turns on studio mode and goes to this folder of utility buttons. And this right here is the opposite of what I like to have. The reason these buttons aren't designed is because I am pretty sure I programmed this scene like an hour before the show, an hour before the Germany show. So I didn't have time to design the buttons. Normally I will make the time. The show will be late sometimes because I'm still designing my Stream Deck buttons, but I didn't have time to do it for this. But these essentially take me to, hitting that tool button turns on studio mode, so I can hit these, and it takes me to that cam sub scene I talked about where this is because things sometimes break with cam links, especially when you have multiple cam links coming in. Sometimes I need to go in there and I need to change which cam link it is. And so if something broke on the set on the day, during the show while we're live, I click that, go into studio mode, go to the cams button or go to the screens, see what cam links I can fix here, etc. And that's how that, and also the drops. I click that, I can go in here and I can mess with the drops. I'm often creating drops mid-show, like new drops, and so I'll use this workflow to be able to get in here and swap them out in the middle of a show. So that's that stuff. Then we got these folders. So I like to make, drops, for example. When we first started doing VFX and Chill, most of the drops were able to fit within one or two lines. Not anymore. Now they fill a whole screen. And this isn't even all of them. This is not all the drops we normally have on a regular show. These are just bare minimum ones that I thought might get used on the show. A lot of them were, a lot of them weren't. But why didn't I include them all? There's plenty of space, you ask. It's because I get stressed out when all of my Stream Deck buttons are populated. I like to have some dead space. Again, that goes back to my need for some kind of visually recognizable hierarchy or organization. I like to be able to look at it and know, up here are my main screens. I know that my commercial breaks, we called them, are living right over here. I know my screens are up here, and I know my buttons are here. I like to have some dead space in between to separate them out. Otherwise, it's just a big blob of overwhelming buttons. So part of the way that I keep those blank spaces for me is I make these little folders. And when I click on them, I've got them set to where I can click it. And now I am in this little folder here, and I can come out of it by clicking the drops button again, or clicking this back arrow back here. In these folders, I always have the studio mode button, and then I have my home button that takes me back to my home screen if I need to get back there. So this has all of our drops, so I can trigger, and you'll notice it's still lit up yellow. It's because I have to manually turn off any drop or that I turn on. The OBS, that's how OBS works, unless I want to program a macro that will automatically turn them off after they turn on. I have had issues with that, though, in creating a macro, like in my advanced scene switcher here, to where I'll turn one on and it's supposed to turn off, but if I trigger another one, like if I go boop, boop, it will not, for some reason, it will get confused and will forget to turn one of them or both of them off. So I now just have it to where full control, I can see this is still on, I'll turn it off. The one exception on our Germany show was the live from Germany drop. I tried to make it to where anytime we said that we were live in Germany, one of these guys would play. And these guys, by these guys I'm talking about, of course, the 6 Germany logos that were created. Not Germany logos, but logo drops. And I had this button out here on my main screen too, so I can easily get it, because I thought we'd be saying live from Germany a lot more than we actually did. Every time I click it, in Stream Deck, it is set as a multi-action random action, and it will do any one of these 6 actions when I click it. And that's basically activating any one of these 6 Germany logos, Germany logo drops. So I'll hit it, and then it will, after a beat, it will turn itself off, because this being a multi-action, it will not light up yellow while it's on, like while that source is on. It will not give me that visual information that I need, This will not turn it on and off. I can't add turning them off to the multi-action random action, because then it will it's selecting one action from a list of random actions. So I had to have them automatically turn off. So that's where I used the advanced scene switcher and made a macro for it, and it worked seamlessly, thankfully, on the show. So anytime I hit it, a random one will come on, and then after a beat, it'll turn itself off. So that's all of our drops. Then I have this games folder, and that was because we played 3 different challenges, 3 different games on the show, and with each of them came, the welcoming the guest on stage, and then the drop for the challenge, and with 2 of them came a prompt. Sorry to spoil the magic, we had them set ahead of time so that I could have this visual ready. And then the timer, we have a timer. And we had a special timer for each challenge, because we wanted to have we wanted to have the title up here in the top left, and we wanted to have over to the right of it either the prompt or a description of what the game or challenge is, and then the timer, of course, over here in the top right. So then you'll see, like, if I go out of here, this is a little faint timer. That's still, it's lit up red. If I click it, it doesn't do anything. That is existing purely as a visual, that's the visual data for me to be able to look down no matter where I am in Stream Deck scenes, to be able to look over and see, a timer is on. And so if I want to turn it off, I can turn it off, but it lets me know, a timer is on. And subsequently, while I'm in the games folder, I had faded versions of the cams button, the screens button, and of course that timer thing's still there. But that allowed me to switch if I needed to while from this window. I also, as often as I can, like to have, like if I have a folder open within a main scene on Stream Deck, and if I can, I like to have elements, like relevant elements from the main scene still visible, so if they feel connected. And that control is also there. Anyway, so that is the games folder. Then the fun part is over here I had this folder with the hazard sign on it. This was for the gag where this joke was Hashi's idea. I love it. He goes, a certain point in the show, he went, I've never actually been in person with you, never gotten to see your drops set up. And he grabs the Stream Deck and is like, this is actually a really cool setup. And then I say, well, it's actually really complicated. Don't break anything. And the idea was he would hit a button and it would convert all the drops to German. And there were pyrotechnics originally involved with the joke. We could not do. We really wanted our show to be Muppet Muppet Vision 3D. One day. So anyway, I told Hashi, look, when we do that bit, grab the Stream Deck. This is your button. That's your folder. Click that, and then your first go-to is this red one. Click this, and that will play the German translation drop. Now, for German conversion drop. Now, that's still on. So I told him, you want to turn that off, or I will, because I think I immediately take the Stream Deck away and realize, oh, they're all in German. So that's where the German CC ball action would play, which I think is so funny that we made it not. It's not that it speaks German. It's just a German dance track. And then Chris Pratt German. And then a gag that we literally came up with in the 11th hour, like one day before the show. We were like, it'd be funny if instead of converting it back to English, it went too far, like it went full American. And then we got, a country version of CC ball action, which I can't decide if that's what it's going to be on the show going forward or not. It's pretty great. So anyway, that is that. And then I have my button up here for the outro, which, triggers all the rope retraction stuff, which is super fun. So there you have
My
it.
guy, that is an insane setup.
That's the magic.
That is the magic.
Yeah. So
it truly is so much work that if it all goes well, it's like relatively unnoticeable. Like I know, like the drops when we draw attention to the fact that it's controlled. But yeah, there's not a control booth or someone doing it. You're trying to do it in the middle of the show, which is amazing.
The real fun is when is making drops on the show, like during the show, based on things that are said at the beginning. There's so many times we'll have a guest on, and they'll, like Ellie, when Ellie was on the show once, I think it was Ellie who said Field Force enough times that I open up After Effects, I start typing Field Force, and then I see a Dropbox notification that says Hashi added fieldforce.wave to the folder, and I'm like, we both are working on this drop like simultaneously. That happens all the time on the show. So if I'm not paying attention and something funny has been said earlier, that's usually what's happening.
Do you have the Field Force drop handy? Because it's one of my favorites.
Man, we don't use it enough, so I retired it. I do have one I made on the show that I'm never going to get to use again, probably. Just that one episode.
I do want to say, while I've got your attention, Jay is asking, how are we getting our feeds going to the stream like this one? They assume Zoom ISO, but you're on PC. Seth is not on PC. He's on a Mac, Jay.
Great question. We are on Skype because we hate ourselves. And also, Skype, it's something to do with NDI, which I don't even fully understand. It's like a plugin. It's a component. It's something that is built into Skype that allows me to get you guys' video feeds out of Skype individually as NDI inputs on OBS.
It's technically how all like streaming video signals are carried, but the streaming, whatever your conferencing software is, interprets them however it does. But yeah, Skype allows you to take a look at them. In theory, Teams also does, and Zoom, I think, has a mode for it. But we found that for multiple people and screen sharing, for whatever reason, Skype is the smoothest.
It's the smoothest for that. For running on for Skyping, for running on a website, no. But it does have news now and recipes. Finally.
That's what I wanted in Skype.
Yeah. Where's the content aware
Kunami
filter?
is asking, where's the content aware fill drop?
It's right there, which Hashi
Phil's got such moves.
famously saying over and over while using a bulldozer to fill a hole in his backyard.
Yes, I'm sore again today because we were planting trees yesterday, and apparently, digging huge holes for the root ball of trees and having to chainsaw out a bunch of dead tree roots from the hole you're digging. mess up your back and all the things.
Oh, tell me about it, man.
But
Yeah,
I promise I wouldn't complain about it on the show.
We have a special root cutter shovel that my husband got, and it is fantastic.
Ooh.
If you want to talk home improvement tips,
Keep
you've come to the
talking.
right place.
Improvement. Why don't I need a Tim Allen drop? Also, I need to. I have a. I have a plan. Well.
Oh no! Do we know?
Yeah, let's use a segue. So, looking at my drops, I'm realizing I had an idea. I didn't get to do it yet, but I want to replace the me in this. We have a brand new drop that we can.
There's a new drop kit.
There's a new drop. Yeah. Yes. And real quick, I just want to show on my end what that actually looks like. So this is. Oh, there's Hashi right there. So, this is going to be funny because this is going to drop right into it by accident.
This is crazy.
So this is the render playing. I forgot Premiere since kick stuff out with alpha channels. So that's the render that Hashi made that got comped into that iPhone shot of. So
very
Hashi,
exciting. This was actually a rigged Mix-A-Me Michael. Oh gosh, look at this view.
It reminds me, we got to do the Mission Impossible thing. We realized we've never done.
I like that the spreading rope adds this extra bit of violence that is
100%. It's not blood, but it's like it.
It's not blood, but we're able to do all of this because of the awesome unified physics system, which is really great. So I literally have, rope connected to here, and it falls along with you and just lands, which is cool. So this one is a relatively easy sim because Michael's animation is fixed. It's two Mix-A-Mo animations being blended together, which I think we've covered that in tutorials before. Oh, yeah. But yeah, you can turn them into little motion track layers and layer them up. Oh, you can even see it right here. I think there's a falling and a landing thing right here. And what mode do I need to be in?
Wait, so which Mix-A-Mo animation did you end up going with?
Just falling and landing for this one.
Oh, so what you're saying is
to blend them together.
Maybe it's both.
That's what you're saying? Okay.
Is exactly what I'm saying. So easy sim, a little spline that I turned into ropes for that one. This one we threw together really quickly because, like Seth said, it was a relatively last minute joke for this show.
You were already in Germany, I think, because you went a week ahead with Mandy and had a wonderful time, and I was throwing everything together, packing, and I just was like, what if I don't want to give away the gag, but it feels now obvious in hindsight, but it was I think Michael should fall, and within an hour, I don't know what you do on vacations, but within an hour we had two versions of the Michael drop. And
which, I mean,
look at this.
Yeah, you need to be able to move quickly, even in your mobile setup.
Special thanks real quick. I'm looking at those banners. Leo Hageman was also really, really helpful in advance, getting us the weirdest requests. So there was a whole team at Maxon who got us the weirdest things that we requested ahead of the show. Well, one of which was hey, Leo, things that don't matter to most presenters, but we're what is the stage going to look like? What art is going to be on the wall? So he got us these banners by Ava Kramers and in advance, so you were able to bring them in here. And we got there on the day, and it looked exactly like what you rendered. You rendered this a week or two ahead of the actual summit.
That was a hard thing. I think I did have the red and blue swapped. When we got there, I don't remember for sure. Dude, I don't know if we even see it in the cameras.
They're swapped. The red is on the right side.
Oh, okay. Because I only got one render.
So we were close. This is the way it was shown in the mock-up. So I was like, if it's that way in the mock-up, we're going to go with it. But for this scene, you've obviously seen it play. Here it is in the shot. Let me play this. This is a combination of all of the different types of physics that you can do in cinema. I have cloth mixing with rope, mixing with soft bodies, hitting rigid bodies on stage.
Are you controlling the anything here, or is it all randomized, like the pole and? Because when it hits that the podium, it's the funniest thing in the world to me. How it hits it first and just sends it off the stage.
Bam! Right.
It gets a huge laugh when it played in the room.
There was not enough time. I wanted to add some like digi audience down here too that would be reacting to it. But overall, I was very, very pleased with how this all turned out. There's a video file. I don't know if you can play it easily, Seth, in our renders folder. I think it just says like simulations or something like that.
In the Germany trip?
In today's render folder.
Okay, hold on. Renders.
But we can just play it in the background.
Compilation?
I think it's silent. That's the one.
Okay, I'll get it. Oh, and then vocals only. Thank you. I'm glad you have that.
Oh, yeah.
I want to play that too.
You got to play that. So Seth is pulling up in a moment.
Do you want
when
audio
you're doing
on
a crazy
the
sim like this,
compilation?
there are very, very many iterations you have to go through, because all that I'm actually keyframing in this entire thing is this cylinder up here, which is my rope holder. So the entire simulation is based on where I'm placing that at what times. And one additional keyframe of how long the rope is via doing the if you go to your rope dynamics setting. Oh, right here. There's a target length for how long the rope is compared to the original spline you drew. So if I needed them to whip in one direction really fast, I could make the string slightly longer for a second and then tighten it up to get them moving in another direction. But it was, I don't know how many iterations of this we tried. But let's see. If you have that clip, I can play through some of the...
Let's see how many we tried. Do we need audio on this?
No audio. Okay. We can talk over this. But basically, yeah, so this is what I sort of did as a preview of each of these. At first, we thought there would be tablecloths on the tables, and so on top of all of this stupid sim on here, there were tablecloths being knocked off. Here you can actually see the cylinder that's animating us to move around.
Oh my God.
And I was just doing these playblast exports once I got once it ran the simulation through. And like some were funnier than others. Some were dramatically violent, like that one. I was able to use the connector objects to have the microphones are attached to the table, but loosely. And so when the tables are hit, they kind of go sliding around. I think in some of these, I have turbulence that is set to only affect the three of us. So that makes it so
great.
Some of the extra, like, fish in the air wobbling that we're doing.
We talked about trying to justify why are we hanging, like how are we all attached, but it's just that we're hanging on to Michael for no reason.
Yes. I tried to, on stage, get myself legitimately tangled in it.
Did you notice
on the way to the stage?
Did you notice how silent it was in the room?
In the end, but.
Those 5 seconds counting down while we're like pretending to yell and get the thing off Michael. It is like silent in the room, and I was like, it felt like 30 minutes of waiting for the gag to start for me. Like,
right.
Look at that.
And here's the. We had mentioned earlier. This was my first like official Redshift render that I've used for anything. Was this, and so I output a little puzzle mat there, which allowed us to do the final comping, because on top of everything, it needed to look like a projector showing our OBS feed, including titles, was feeding to this screen. So so I had to project the whole image of the screen, including the title, into the projector screen with a little holdout for our drop shadows as if we were in front of the screen. And then that same image needed to repeat inside each other one for that feedback loop effect, which was wild. But it all kind of came together. It is all done in comp for that.
I remember this one. I was like, okay, last note, can you have it drop into the end screen? You're like, I'm packing. I'm trying to leave the country.
Way, like, oh man, icing on the cake would be if we could.
Yeah. And you're like, I'm trying to leave the country. Please, for the love of God.
So ridiculousness. So yeah, lots of mats, lots of weird everything, but every type of simulation object you can do. And on top of this, I could have set fire to any of these objects with pyro and
Don't say that.
let particles rain into this system, and they will
Don't
all
say
interact,
that. We should have done
crazy.
that. Why didn't we do that?
I think that in the end, there was something about, well, if you want to play the sound version of it, there was something that was so raw and horrible about how unglamorous this process is.
Here we go.
Sorry, I didn't. Oh, God. Sorry.
Stop, let go. Wait, why can't we just let go?
Let go.
How do we turn this off? Damn it, Michael.
I forgot there was a damn it, Michael, in there.
So great. So that's playing very quietly in the under our awesome outro music.
I missed it on that part with the
gosh.
the rope unsheathing. Oh my gosh, so good.
It's ridiculous, but yeah, it's fun to see. I've always wanted to be able to do simulations like this, and I really love that all the systems are in one place now. It's very, very cool.
It is very cool. So yeah, what else is there, guys? Well,
there's an unrelated thing that I want to talk about. Speaking of cool things that Maxon has put out recently, I'm sure we'll remember something that we didn't get to here. But I don't know if any of you have had the chance to use our new tool and trap code suite called Geo.
Geo. Real quick before you move to this, we had someone say hi that I have to respond to.
Jamie!
All right, that's all.
Jamie, how you doing? Welcome back from school. I also meant to give a shout out to Jamie's French teacher who watches the show.
Oh, what? During school?
I don't want to.
Yeah.
I'll have to find out if we have permissions for names and things, but shout out to Jamie's French teacher.
French teacher, yay. Big fan of French teachers
Yay.
in this house too. That sounds weird. Well, Ellie takes French and the teacher rules. Anyway. Geo.
Yeah.
Geo script. Let's talk about it. Tell me about it.
Okay, so Geo is our fun trap code project that allows you to bring 3D models into After Effects and work with them right there. And you can cast shadows with lights, and you can add shadow catcher planes and things like that. A couple of extra things that you can't do yet with the After Effects built-in 3D renderer, and all the standard comfort you'd have from working with Mir or any of the other trap code objects. The way things are laid out. One of the really cool things that we put into it is the ability to use multiple materials, and sort of just like with particular, you can sort of keep on twirling down additional details about everything inside Geo, which is really cool. So you can customize these, and you can also source pre-comps and have animated texture layers and things like that. The only thing that I noticed is that setting up something from scratch was a teeny bit tedious, because you might have a bunch of maps and then you have these objects, and you've kind of got to go to these drop downs and pick your base color or your roughness map or whatever. And so in the meantime, I decided that I wanted to create a script that I wanted to share with people. And it's available right there, called GeoTagger. And let me show you what GeoTagger does. The way Geo works is you have a solid that has your elements rendered onto it, and they will source an object or a C4D file that you have just brought here into the timeline like that. Just sourcing those right there. I happen to know that this has, there's a material for the shoe, a material for this helmet, and a very quick way to get them linked up to their proper textures is with this fun script. So it's called GeoTagger, and it looks like this. It's teeny. You can put it in your script UI panel one if you want to be able to dock it there or something like that, but this is how it works. If you know that all of these materials are associated with what this is, material 1, I can just, from the drop-down, have material 1 selected there and say assign, and then this will automatically put them all on the shoe. Or I know that these are all texture maps that came with the with this helmet, which is on channel 2. So I can grab that and say assign, and it'll give me a little warning that there wasn't an input for ambient occlusion because the ambient occlusion is being done in render. So I'll just say okay, and now I have everything textured up, and that's way faster to me than diving through the pull downs. So just a little assistive tool to help you on your journey. Also, if you didn't like that you just applied them to a material, you can also just say clear, and that should clear out any textures you had just assigned. So just something to make Geo a little faster to work with in the meantime. It also has one other function, which is probably demonstrated better over here.
This is my favorite
Say
one. I love what you've just shown. It's incredible. But this is my favorite one. Favorite thing about it.
Yeah, like say you had a scene with multiple objects in it like that, and you want to start getting to the texturing. I've already done the texturing here, but it's a whole bunch of maps that need to go to different things. And right when you're beginning, you may not know what they are. So we have this preview materials button, and if you click on that, what it'll do is it'll let you know. It'll show you this little material preview key, and oh no, what have I done? Oh no, I did something wrong.
You did? Oh,
that's weird. I don't know why. Maybe I need to retract the script that I just sent out. Was it? Do
you want me to demo it? I'll demo it.
It did it almost in the right order. This colorful image was supposed to show at the same time as that key.
Oh,
I'm unsure why it didn't.
I bet you it has to do with our undo groups and our render things.
Darn.
Yeah.
I was going to be so proud if it worked.
Because it took me a long time to figure
Preview
out.
materials.
You remember yesterday we were struggling with the undo groups and figuring out how to make them work. I figured out what my issue was, which was that I had an open undo group early in the code that was never closed, and it was causing all kinds of mayhem. Hey, don't.
All right, so I'm gonna have to live extend script, figure it out. Darn. Yeah, that's so weird. It worked even immediately before the. Oh, is it? No. No,
Hey, Winbush is
Hey,
here. by the way.
Winbush.
Winbush.
It's somebody we haven't had on the show
Oh, weird. It was.
There we go.
It was the drop down was messing it up. The material.
Interesting.
In material 1, it works. I had it on material 2, and it didn't.
We'll have to figure it out. But
So
look at that,
often-
everybody.
I'll
Now
figure
you
it out.
know.
But yeah, here's what it's supposed to do. You press it, and then it quickly puts a different color
And now
on
you
each
know
of
what
these and lets
material
you know
group.
which material channel is each.
Exactly. Oh my God.
And then you
it's
say,
so
okay,
good.
got it, and then it puts it back to however you had it before.
That's the magical
apparent-
part. Okay, it's not that magical that it undoes it once you hit OK, but it's magical based on how long it took Hashi and I to figure this out
Knowing,
yesterday.
that you can't tell a script, press Control Z. It was stupider than that to make it do that. And yeah, this is all. I know that it's very silly to have scripts that make a tool that you make easier to use. And also, I am unable to talk about things in development. I just want this to help you in the meantime.
I feel like you just
was
alluded to something.
that clear?
A little too clear. I think that Legal's going to be talking to you, who is in the chat. I love that because we had such a fun show in Germany last week. We're going to have like HR and Legal in our chat every week, and we're going to have to
just making sure.
Good news is we like those people. They're cool
Speaking of things
people.
on our show, Winbush says that be happy to come on the show. I think it'd be great to have like an
immediately.
Unreal episode with Winbush would be fantastic.
Hell yeah. I'm all for that.
Or something non-Unreal. So Winbush can try something.
Either way, if
something else
Winbush
for a
is there,
while.
it's going to be an Unreal episode.
That's a fun thing to look
And,
forward to in
we have to do that.
season 5, which I believe we can't talk about anything. Just know that season 5, there's big changes coming to this show that are very exciting and fun.
God, I love how much we walk up to the precipice of like, nothing. Never mind.
Never mind. I will say real quick, you're showing off the GeoScript. How did this get made fan in me wants to just yell GeoScript really loud. Actually, before the show, I did it
Goodness.
and then explained myself, and there was a long pause, and Hashi went, I'm actually aware of the reference.
Of shouting Geostorm at things.
Our chill panel, I was showing Stu my Whirly Scripts panel, which that sounded weird and dirty, but I was showing him the Whirly Scripts panel that I have in After Effects in Germany, and he was like, "You guys ever do this on the show?" And I was like, "We talk about doing it on the show." But I think now the Germany show's done, we don't have any big events to be planning for. I think we should double down on and focus on getting that VFX and Chill panel out. Maybe for the premiere of season 4. You heard it here first, folks. So did Hashi and Michael. 5. Season 5. Thank you. I think we should spend some time hacking through that thing and get stuff like the 3D plane stamp and normalized track and this GeoScript and time cop once I remember what it does and breakdown all thrown into a panel.
I love that you have a script that is called Time Cop, and the only info it gives you is that it creates time itself.
Yeah,
and you
let
can
me pull it up real
it
quick.
does something somewhere.
So it says, wait, does this show up if I do this? It does. Okay, so Time Cop. It just says a button that says create time itself. That doesn't tell me what it does. I really need to.
I hope that somewhere there is like, some secret agent in a jam, and you're clicking that just happenstantially, and it rewinds the predicament they're in by a few seconds. And everyone is confused because it's only the length of time that you would, the cliffhanger before a commercial break
100%.
Amount of time.
I also love, we figured out on the show that, or figured out yesterday that I have buttons that I never figured out what they do, but they do open up weird alerts. Like this one that says, "Don't mind him. He's just a button who's lost his wife."
It's so horrible.
Yeah, I don't know. Sleepless in Seattle reference is hidden in my code that I don't remember putting there. It's the most Seth Worley thing I could have possibly done.
Writing scripts and writing scripts. It's Seth Worley story.
Do we, Michael, you got anything you want to cover? Anything you want to talk about?
No.
I mean, we said it on our Live in Germany show, but thank you tremendously to the many, many people who contributed to that all working between Michael Munch and all of the event organizers. Very, very awesome.
A lot of people. I don't know if I'm allowed to say a lot of their names on the show, so we'll just say a lot of people at Maxon made this happen. It was incredible. Oh, converting time code. That's what it was, Murphy. You're right. I forgot.
What converts time code?
Yeah,
just like in the timeline, like what type of time is
it makes a counter
being displayed?
That's what it does. Hang on.
Whoa, okay. You heard it here first.
So did I.
A specifically bespoke thing that Seth Worley wrote for himself.
So hang on.
You found out what it did.
I think so. If I open up Time Cop, can you guys see this? All right.
This is the most important part of the show. Pay attention, everybody.
Create time itself. Please select a text layer. Okay, fine. A text layer. Text. And now create time itself.
It'll say you can do better than that.
Ooh. So
hey,
that's
look at that.
Counting to a minute.
It turns text into time.
I have a question. Why?
There was a reason. I remember why.
Because there's a time code effect in After Effects.
There is. It gave me issues.
But now you have the native After Effects text controls over it.
You know what I remember? I remember what happened was the time code effect in After Effects was giving me issues where it was offsetting itself. It was like
it's not. It's a utility, not an aesthetic thing. And I think that you were using it specifically for an aesthetic shot.
It was specifically for a shot in Sketch where we see without giving anything away, we see a music app and the timeline of the music app. And on one end, you see the positive time code, and the other end, you see the negative time code. And the seconds.
See, I could have used this on my fake Indiana Jones Apple Vision thing where I don't remember what I did. Oh, I think I screen recorded myself playing a song and then
that's what you end up having to do because because something to do with the frame, like 23.978 or 23.98 frames per second. Those like decimals throw off both those counters to where they end up going off and they don't count on the second after a certain while. And we had to render a version that was the length of an entire song so that the compositor could use bits and pieces of it in different shots. And at a certain point, very quickly, the time codes went off and stopped counting in there. And so I literally spent a day writing the script and figuring out how to make, which was Timecop, which created the time codes that would then count in sync. I don't remember how I did it. It's in that code somewhere.
What would happen if you applied Timecop to the same layer twice?
I don't.
In the same, like if you had...
only one way to find out.
I do want to say real quick while you figure that out.
I'm gonna find out.
Oh, no. It got all choppy. Sorry, Lorraine. All right.
I just want to say another really fun thing that happened at the Max on Summit was we all got to see Seth's movie, and it's great.
Oh, thank you, buddy. Yes, we did a special.
That's all anyone could talk about for the rest of the summit afterwards.
It was wonderful. We did a private screening of my finished movie for everyone at Maxon, and there's a lot of people I don't know at Maxon, and it was
absolutely. If you want to be another person working at Maxon, go to probably maxon.net.careers.
I would go and I'd be like, do I get caught up on things?
Check it out. It's a fun place, people.
It is. Come work here. All right, the question.
But yeah, all those people that you didn't know were coming up to you and saying how great it was, and
it was genuine. They weren't even just being nice, and if they were, they were being so nice.
See,
Billy, you're so sweet. Yes, it was a very special, very, very special time for me. I had seen it on the screen. Like, we screened it multiple times for people, but this was the biggest screen I've seen it on, and it was the most number. It was like the highest ratio of like strangers, not strangers, but people that weren't like friends and family watching it. And it just played crazy well. And I cried so much that week. The people don't know how much I was.
So did some people in the audience. People were tearing up at certain points.
It made me so happy. People there on the trip I don't think people knew how much I was having to go hide and cry after every time they would come up and tell me meaningful things about the movie. That last night when we all just like danced the night away, and I had a blast with the two of you, and Mandy was there. And there was a point, I won't say what he said, but Stu said something to me that was very, very sweet. And I'm going to cry thinking about it. He told me he said something. If you want to
see a video of Seth crying in the corners of all of these events, please go to my Instagram. 100%. And
Michael Munch has footage probably somewhere. Just he can make a supercut of like Seth crying in a corner. But Stu said something, and then somebody else stopped me on my way across the room and said another very meaningful thing. And I don't remember the person's name, but they said, "You're
the actor Michael Douglas."
It was
I think it was.
They said, like, clearly you are a parent.
You got it, kid.
And they said, clearly you were a parent. And for some reason, that one destroyed me. And I had to go outside and walk around the compound and just like ugly cry. And it was so wonderful. It was just so sweet. So anyway, it was a very special trip, getting to hang out with you guys, getting to be on stage with you guys, getting to show our silly show to the rest of our company. And I'd do it all over again tomorrow. Let's go. Let's get on a plane.
See you then.
You know what I would like to do? I'd like to do more live shows. That was a lot of work. We can't repeat it because we live streamed it. So people have seen all the jokes now. But I want to do more live shows. And we haven't talked to our bosses about this at all, but we bought this tiny mixer.
But you know, like if there were a bunch of people requesting us appear at live events on the socials, wouldn't hurt.
People going to NAB, maybe there'd be a special VFX and Chill live at NAB. I don't know, something like that.
Let them know. Seth, when you do take us out, is it possible to take us out with the Americanized CC ball action? I feel like I didn't get enough of it this episode.
Let me see what I can.
CC ball action. CC ball action at a beer loving girl.
think that was loud enough.
CC ball action. CC ball action. At a beer loving girl.
Hashi, I don't know if we want
Yeah.
to get into how you made that. We don't need to ask. All I know is there's a 2-minute version of that that you sent over that is just that lyric over and over and
just
over.
go to iTunes and search.
It's one of the funniest things I've ever heard. Real quick, I need to make sure what I'm playing us out with. I forgot to do a in credits clip. Michael,
Yeah.
Michael, you
In
got
the
any
meantime,
business?
yeah, if you want to try that geotagger thing, it's just bit.ly/geotagger. I think I had it on screen a moment ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, feel free to try that out.
Wants the German version, Seth. Do you have the German version handy?
I might. Let me see. You guys, I'm not a magician. I had 2 separate OBS scene collections, Germany and this one, and all the German ones live over there. But, you know.
But hey,
CC
if we
ball
start doing more international shows, that one goes hard.
So good.
It does. Du hast mich. Guys, I don't know what I just said. I just referenced a song that I have no idea what it's actually saying. Everyone forgive me for whatever I just said in German. Everybody please tune in next week for whatever the hell we're doing on the show. Challengers, apparently now next week. We're going to talk about challengers. You guys, I love you. I'm talking to Hashi and Michael. It was so much fun doing that show with you guys. And I love doing the show with you. Everybody, we'll see you next week.
Have a great one, everyone.